When a kind-hearted man named Ilyas picks up a stranded hitchhiker on a remote stretch of highway, he disappears without a trace just minutes later. His family is devastated, the authorities are baffled, and the only clue lies in the silent witness, the hitchhiker. But as the investigation unfolds, a chilling truth emerges that challenges the very fabric of identity, compassion, and justice. This cinematic tale explores how one decision on a lonely road can spiral into a haunting mystery no one could have seen coming. Before we jump into this incredible story, drop a comment, let us know where you're watching from. And if you enjoy this video, be sure to subscribe for more. The rain hadn't stopped in hours. It poured down on the dusty, winding road that cut through the desolate woods like a forgotten scar. Ilyas Ven, a mild-mannered wildlife photographer known for his gentle spirit and unshakable calm, was heading home from a 2-week shoot in the Appalachian backcountry. The air inside his old, mud-splattered Subaru was thick with the scent of damp earth and pine needles. The radio crackled with static, but he left it on. White noise was better than the eerie silence outside. That's when he saw him, a figure drenched in rain, standing on the shoulder with his thumb out. Ilyas slowed instinctively. It was late, isolated, and cold. No one deserved to be out in that. The man looked young, mid-20s maybe, with a worn leather jacket and hollow eyes. He didn't smile when Ilyas rolled down the window. He just nodded and said, "Heading east." Ilyas hesitated, then unlocked the door. "Hop in." The stranger got in without a word. 10 minutes later, Ilyas would vanish. His car found idling, door ajar, headlights on. No sign of struggle. No blood. No footprints. Just gone. News of Ilyas's disappearance spread quickly through the small town of Norhill. Everyone knew Ilyas, gentle soul, local artist, the guy who fed stray cats behind the diner every Sunday. His wife, Rena, was inconsolable. She'd spoken to him just an hour before he went missing. He said he saw something strange on the road, she told detectives. Something about shadows moving the wrong way. The local sheriff, Egan Trask, launched a full search. Bloodhounds, drones, volunteers, nothing. The car was found by an off-duty trucker named Lauren, who stopped when he saw the lights on. There was this weird feeling in the air, he said later. Like the air was heavier, like the woods were holding their breath. The only lead was a security camera from a gas station 15 miles back. It showed Ilyas alone. No sign of a hitchhiker. No passenger ever got in. But Ilyas told Rena he'd picked someone up. So who was he talking to? The town began to whisper. People remembered old stories, the lost trails of Norhill Forest, tales of people who disappeared after seeing the silent. Urban legend, they said. A ghost hitchhiker that marked the end for those who showed kindness to the wrong soul. Sheriff Trask wasn't a superstitious man, but even he admitted the case had strangeness around the edges. 2 days later, Rena received an envelope. No return address. Inside was a Polaroid of Ilyas, alive, sitting in the passenger seat of his own car, taken from the driver's side. He looked terrified. Scrawled in red ink at the bottom, "Don't trust the mirror." Experts couldn't explain how the photo was taken. The timestamp suggested it was snapped after Ilyas vanished. The woods were searched again. Still nothing. That's when journalist Maeve Orland got involved. She'd covered disappearances before, rationally, skeptically. But this case, it unsettled her. She came to Norhill to find answers. What she found was something far more dangerous. Maeve interviewed Rena first. The grief was still raw, but something else flickered in Rena's eyes. Determination, like she knew something others didn't. Ilyas believed in patterns, Rena said. He said nature repeats itself, that everything unnatural leaves a ripple. Maeve took it as metaphor, until she started digging. She uncovered 3 similar cases across nearby states, all within 20 miles of forested highways, all involving men who picked up hitchhikers and vanished. All had loved ones who later received cryptic photographs. One message read, "He's seen it now." Another, "He listened when he shouldn't have." Maeve traced a link to a closed psychiatric institution from the 1960s, Hollow Pines Asylum. Patients reported visions of the borrowed face, a being that mimicked someone the victim trusted before taking them. The asylum had burned down. Only one record survived, of a patient named Elric Ven, who vanished in the woods in 1968, reportedly after offering someone a ride. His face bore an eerie resemblance to Ilyas. Too close to ignore. Maeve brought the information to Sheriff Trask. He was skeptical until the second photo arrived. This time, it was a Polaroid of Maeve, taken from behind as she stood outside Ilyas's abandoned car. She hadn't told anyone she'd been there. The photo was time-stamped for the next day. "This isn't just about Ilyas," Maeve whispered. "This thing, it's watching us. It's ahead of us." She and Trask scoured Old Town maps, hoping to find something, anything, that could explain this. They found a trail no longer on any modern records, Whispers Cut, leading deep into the Norhill forest. Locals avoided it. Kids dared each other to touch its sign and run. Maeve and Trask decided to follow it at dawn. Half a mile in, they found something impossible, a rusted-out sedan covered in moss, abandoned for decades. The license plate matched Elric Venn's. Inside was a journal wrapped in oilskin. Its final entry read, "It wears your voice. Don't answer when it calls." Trask closed the book, pale. This thing has been feeding for decades. The deeper they went, the more time seemed to distort. Trees twisted strangely. Their shadows moved against the wind. Both Maeve and Trask heard voices, faint, familiar. Maeve heard her late mother's lullaby. Trask swore he heard his daughter laughing, though she'd been mute since birth. At the center of the forest, they found a mirror. Freestanding. Tall, cracked, but reflecting something behind them that wasn't there. In the reflection stood Ilyas, pale, lips moving soundlessly. Maeve turned. Nothing. Trask looked away and vanished. Gone in a blink. No scream. No sound. Just gone. Maeve staggered back, realizing the truth. The mirror didn't show what was real. It showed what was missing, and lured you into its trap with what you most longed for. She turned her back to it, shaking. Then she remembered Rena's words. Everything unnatural leaves a ripple. She snapped a photo of the mirror with her phone's flash on. In that brief moment of light, she saw dozens of figures trapped behind the glass, including Ilyas. All reaching. All silent. Maeve returned alone. The town was in mourning again, first Ilyas, now Trask. But she had proof. The mirror appeared on her phone's camera, even though it didn't show in person. She brought it to Rena, who studied it for hours. "It's like a prison," she murmured. "But Ilyas is aware. He's fighting." They devised a plan. Replicate the original photo using the same Polaroid model. Rena believed that if they could reflect the mirror back on itself through analog photography, non-digital, they might fracture its hold. They returned with a 1970s camera and red film, the same kind used in the first message. As Rena took the shot, the mirror cracked violently. A sharp scream filled the air, dozens of voices all at once. Then silence. The mirror was gone. In its place stood Ilyas, gasping, dazed but alive. They ran. The forest behind them collapsed inward like a folding map. No one spoke on the drive back. Ilyas didn't remember everything, just fragments. A voice offering answers. A price he didn't know he'd paid. The entity, he said, had no face until you gave it one. It was never just the hitchhiker. It was any kindness, any opening. And it waited. Sheriff Trask was never found. Nor were the others. But Ilyas's return sparked a frenzy. News media descended. The town swelled with seekers, some curious, some reckless. Maeve released only part of the story, warning of the danger. But online, the myth grew. People started searching for the borrowed. Some vanished. Others claimed visions. Rena and Ilyas moved away quietly. Maeve stayed in Norhill, watching the woods. The mirror never returned. But every year on the day of Ilyas's disappearance, a new photo arrived in the mail. This time with no people, just empty roads. And the words, "It remembers." Today, the story of Ilyas Venn circulates across forums, true crime podcasts, and dark YouTube channels. Most believe it's fiction, too cinematic, too strange. But those who know the forest say otherwise. They say if you drive past Norhill after sunset and see someone on the roadside with a familiar face, don't stop. Don't even look. Because if you do, it's already too late. Maeve left town last month. Her house empty. Her phone on the porch, camera app still open, showing nothing but static. Rena, now alone, continues to search for answers. She's built a wall of photographs, timelines, notes. One question remains at the center. Why Ilyas? Why him, and not the others? And the answer, scrawled in Ilyas's own handwriting, found in his old journal, might explain everything. I opened the door because once someone opened it for me. In the end, the story isn't just about a man who vanished. It's about how kindness can be both salvation and curse. How good intentions can walk hand in hand with danger. Ilyas Venn didn't disappear because he was weak. He disappeared because he was strong enough to care. And in that moment of care, something ancient took notice. The world still spins. The roads are still empty. But every so often, someone sees a hitchhiker with familiar eyes. and they remember the story. And sometimes they don't. Maeve's disappearance shook the town harder than Ilyas's return. People began to whisper again, only now, their fear was laced with guilt. She had warned them, sacrifice sleep and sanity to trace every thread, and still she was taken. Ilyas blamed himself. Rena tried to keep him grounded, but every night he sat by the window, watching the trees, waiting for another sign. One evening a package arrived. No sender. Inside, Maeve's notebook, burned around the edges but intact. One page stood out. It read, "There's no end to it. Only choice. The mirror isn't just glass, it's invitation." On the final page, scrawled hastily, "If I don't come back, tell them to stop looking." The photo wall in Rena's attic remains. New images arrive sporadically, each one more cryptic than the last. Sometimes a face, sometimes an empty chair. But no mirror. No reflection. Just silence and memory. Ilyas no longer speaks about the woods. He paints now, landscapes where trees stretch like arms and roads disappear into fog. People still visit Norhill, chasing myths, hoping to see what Ilyas saw. They don't realize, the story doesn't end with understanding. It ends when you forget to look away. If this story gripped you, stirred something deep, or left you questioning the unknown, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Start a conversation. What would you have done in Ilyas's place? What if the mirror finds you next? Like, comment, and subscribe for more haunting tales that blur the line between reality and mystery. And remember, some roads aren't meant to be traveled twice. Stay curious. Stay cautious. And whatever you do, never look back too long.